Okay, great. Meeting will come to order, the Vashon-Maury Community Council meeting. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm going to defer the determining quorum until after our presentation in hopes that more people will show up. I will provide a brief technical overview. If you're participating remotely, please sign on with your phone or computer, but not both. If you're on Zoom, stay muted unless you're speaking. If you have signed on with anything other than your first and last name, please change it on Zoom so we can know who you are. For Zoom attendees, please be advised that questions on chat may or may not be answered. If someone wishes to take on the task of speaking for the person chatting, they're welcome to do that. The democratic rules of order, which we follow, can be found at the website in the agenda, which is www.democraticrules.com. And a flow chart and downloadable summary of the rules can be found in the right margin. For the people in person, we have some democratic rules of order books on the back table that you can borrow for the evening. Please return them after the meeting. Please raise your hand to speak to a motion or participate in open discussion, and lower your hand after you've been recognized or no longer wish to speak. This applies both to people in person and on Zoom. When you raise your hand, it may also help if you state in the chat when you're on Zoom that your hand is raised. If you're speaking in person, please identify yourself the first time you're recognized to speak. Thank you. Welcome again. I hope that we'll all appreciate what a privilege this is to be able to gather like this in free assembly and be in charge of ourselves. It's a rare opportunity in this world, and I hope we won't take it for granted. I'd like to extend an invitation to everyone to consider joining committees we have operating, especially the Affordable Housing Committee and the Technology Watch and Response Committee are meeting members, and also the Communications Committee and Equity Committee can use members if that is something that interests you. If so, please just get in touch with me or at the info email address. I'll briefly go over some rules of conduct. We'll have a land acknowledgement first. Bill Knoller has volunteered or been kind enough to read one of the land acknowledgements. Thank you, Bill.
Please join me in acknowledging the Coast Salish people. The land we occupy today is their ancestral land. For thousands of years, they lived on, stewarding its resources with care and wisdom. Today, with gratitude, we acknowledge them and their elders, past, present, and emerging, and recognize that this land remains a vital part of their cultural sovereignty.
Thanks very much, Bill. The rules of conduct. The council is committed to conducting its meetings in a civil, respectful, and courteous manner. We expect all participants to demonstrate common courtesy and respect toward fellow islanders and guests. As we build our new council, we are dedicated to creating a safe and healing space to address our shared interests. Rudeness, personal criticism, and ridicule, including in online chat contributions, are not acceptable and will not be tolerated. Please keep your remarks focused on the issues, not on individuals. We're here because we're stronger together. And as our custom, please raise your hand to demonstrate your intent to honor the rules of conduct. Thank you. We will defer these items that are going to require a vote until after we've determined a quorum later, and go directly to the presentation on island road safety. We're lucky to have some guests with us tonight, and I'll turn it over to Jen Rakovic, our secretary, to introduce our guests. Jen?
Thank you for joining us as a we have several special guests tonight. Sergeant Theresa Schrimpsher is here, as well as Major Koby Hammil from the Sheriff's Office, and Bong StoDomingo from, if you'd be
Department of Local Services.
Department of Local Services, and if you would be willing to introduce yourself as well.
Richardson from the Department of Local Services.
Wonderful, thank you. And on Zoom, Did I see John Vander?
Yes, it's John Vander Sluis from the Department of Local Services Road Services Division.
Thank you all for joining us for a conversation about road safety. So over the course of a few months, we've had a couple of things reported to the board of directors of the council that are related to road safety. And I can just run the list of what has been reported to us. There's a Metro bus driver who's concerned about pedestrian safety at the corner of the Vashon Highway and Bank Road. Just that there are two rows of traffic going in each direction. And sometimes if you're making contact with the driver with your eyes as pedestrian, you don't always make contact with both the cars when they're lined up in the same direction, is kind of the sense that I get. And then there's a affordable housing unit that's south of town that is specifically designed for people who have mobility challenges. And there's a bus stop there that has a post, but not a place to sit. So for safety, it might be nice to have a place where people can rest. There is up by John L. Scott, a very sharp corner where people come headed south pretty fast. And it's a frequent site of accidents and injuries that people in the neighborhood wind up being the first responders to sometimes. And finally, for bike safety, sometimes there are businesses that put in those signboards in the bike lanes. And the bikers need to swerve out a little bit in the traffic. So it's best if those stay out of the bike lane. So those are the things that have been reported to us. I don't know if you have something
Thank you,
you'd
Jen.
like to say.
I had thought of coming up here, which you're welcome to do, but we have a new camera, so I think we can just zoom over to whoever is talking. Will that work, Nicole?
Yeah, with this one.
So can you put the camera on Major Hammil and Sergeant Schrimpsher?
It won't. I don't know why this one's PTZ controls don't work on my computer.
Yeah, I guess that's not working.
Yeah.
So,
It's not too far.
come around this way, those things, because the cords are.
Yeah.
There are birds in the way if you walk this way. Wow, waist high.
Well, there are cords up here, aren't there?
There are a lot of cords.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us come out. It was a beautiful ferry ride out here today. I enjoyed every minute of the 10 minutes I got to sit on there today. It was a great ride to come out, visit with you, and have some dinner before we came over to see you. So thank you for having us come out today. We got your list of everything that you recently just spoke about. There's not a lot that the transit related thing, we can help refer that over to our Metro Transit folks to see if we can get some help for you guys with that, with the bus stop. I'm not quite sure how any of that works. Of course, you know, we're doing the law enforcement side of the house. So, but we do have some contacts over transit, so we may be able to help you with that. The speeding issue, the collision issue, that's right up our alley. Just so everybody on Vashon Island knows, I probably mentioned this last year when I was out here, I was working on getting a traffic deputy inside my precinct. I was successful in doing that. I would say 3 months ago, I was able to get a deputy designated as a traffic deputy in the Southwest Precinct. As you all know, besides your lovely community out here, Vashon Island, we also service White Center and Skyway as well. So he does have to spend his time divided amongst the 3 locations, but the goal is he spends at least one day out here on Vashon Island doing traffic enforcement on the island. That's handling collisions, doing DUI investigations, speed enforcement, the whole 9 yards. As a matter of fact, I can tell you right now, make sure you're obeying the speed limits when you leave here. He is actually on the island tonight, working out here. I just heard him on the radio a few minutes ago as Sergeant Schrimpsher and I got here. So he is hit the road running. I'll say that. He is making a difference out there. We're we'd like to think we're starting to see some reductions in some more of our collisions that are going on. He's very proactive. He's doing a large number of DUI arrests. He's made several DUI arrests out here on the island as well. It's very important for road safety, so he's very much focused on that. We have him committed to that 100% of his day. Outside of, he does respond to normal patrol calls. So if he's in the area and he can help, he'll go help. But his primary focus is traffic enforcement. So we will definitely pass that information on to him so he can come out here and start focusing on that area down by John L. Scott for you guys a little bit more. Sergeant Schrimpsher's got just a couple of quick stats we wanted to bring out for you, just so you had them and you kind of have an understanding of 2024 versus 2025. She went and kind of pulled these, it's just a few numbers, but it just kind of shows you a comparison between where we're at on the island in 24 to where we're at in 25, knowing that we still have, 3.5 months left of the year. So
for traffic stops in 2024, there was 307 traffic stops made 2024, 307. In 2025, to date, as of earlier this week, it was 267, and we still have 3 months left. So we're and with one traffic officer, we actually have 2 traffic deputies.
We actually have 2. We just started a new one last week. So I have a day shift traffic car, and he is also out here on the island. My apologies. He's literally a week into it. So
yes, and so we these numbers should absolutely increase exponentially with 2 deputies targeted at least 1 day a week out here on the island. To kind of parse those down a little bit, in 2024, we had 9 DUIs, and in 2025 to date, we've had 9 DUIs. And especially with our traffic deputy focusing on the DUIs, it's one of his things that he likes to do. And so with that, I expect a few more on the island. And then to talk about collisions. So total collisions in 2024 were 109. Total collisions in 2025 to date are 64. And I'll actually break those down a little bit further for you. So collisions in 2024 was 22. And to date, we've only had 11 in 2025. The non-injury collisions were 69 in 2024, and we've had 40 to date in 2025. And then we also broke down the hit and runs as well, and that was 18 in 2024 and 13 in 2025. So you can see, with the exception of hit and runs, we're almost half of the collisions this year from last year.
keeping in mind, we still have 3 months or so and some change of time left, and we're moving into the wetter season, and so we're probably gonna see some more collisions, unfortunately, once the rain starts. So just a little snapshot of what the deputies are doing out here for traffic-related issues on the island. We don't really have anything else to share on that front, so we're here for questions, topics, concerns. If anybody out there in the room or out there on the World Wide Web wants to ask a question, if they have one or want to let us know about something, as usual, we're pretty easy to contact. Sergeant Schrimpsher, lots of people have her information. She'll leave her business cards if anybody wants to grab one and call us direct. And we're pretty quick to get back to you if you have an issue or if you need something from us. So
thanks very much. Before I open it for questions, I'd like to hear from John Vander Sluis from the King County Road Services, if you'd like to say anything. John?
I would be happy to. Thank you for having us. I know that you have seen the link that we have where we're about the project that we're working on right now. If you are okay with that, I'd like to spend just a minute to sort of let you know what we're working on. Do you mind? Am I able to share a screen? Would that be all right? Let's see. I like images, so let me see if I can do this. There, can you see my screen? Maybe? Not yet. Let me try one more time.
We can see it here. David and Andrea can see it.
I'll try one more time, and if that doesn't work, then we'll that'll be fine. We'll just work through it. Nope, that's fine. I will share. So the King County Road Services Division, we are a division within the Department of Local Services, and we manage about 1,500 miles of unincorporated county roads. Those are all the roads outside of cities. We do collaborate with the Sheriff's Office on trying to understand where we can make the most impact on road safety. We are hampered by a very severe county road funding crisis. I think probably you folks in the room are familiar with that. So we don't have a lot of money to do big capital improvement projects. We are currently, however, working on what's called a traffic safety action plan. And what that will be is a lot of analysis of the collision data. So every time my colleagues at the Sheriff's Office get called out to a collision, or any first responder goes out to a collision, we get a report of that, of what happened, where, and why. And so one of the pieces of our project is to pull together all of that collision data and do some analysis so that we can get a better understanding of where collisions are happening on the road network, and why they're happening. So our plan is to do a lot of that analysis and do some looking at the county policies to see if there are any things we can change about the way we do business to make things safer. And then we are hoping to hear more from the community at large about what types of collisions are of concern to you and where those happen. So I really appreciated the locations that you shared at the beginning of the meeting. I have some notes on those. I also appreciate you sharing that link just broadly in the community. The more people we can hear from, the better. I don't have Vashon specific statistics. I can tell you that we countywide, we see, let's try and look at my notes here. In 2023, we had about 1,600 collisions across those 1,500 miles of road network. We had 65 fatal and serious injury collisions, and those are the ones that we're really the most concerned about. Generally, about 1% or less than 1% of the collisions result in fatality, and about 2% result in a serious injury. So it's a relatively small percent of the crashes that we're the most focused on, both in this project and in our management of the road network. And the crashes have been, those fatal and serious injury crashes have been trending upward, both in the county, in the cities, in the state, and nationally. So that's a disturbing trend for us, and that's one of the reasons why we're undertaking this traffic safety action plan. We do think in terms of not just the geometry of where collisions happened, but we're looking at sort of broader reasons that contribute to collisions. And we follow the state's approach with this. So we are looking at collisions in terms of whether impairment was involved. I think you heard that was one of the major drivers for collisions in unincorporated King County. Speeding is one of the other highest drivers, which makes me very happy to hear that we're really increasing that focus on traffic enforcement, because that is critical, in addition to the design of the roadways itself. The other big categories of collisions that we look at are distracted driving related collisions, unrestrained occupants, so people who aren't buckled or using a seat, or child safety harness, or I don't know why I can't come up with a word for the thing that you put the kid in the back of the car. Thank you, car seat. That is amazing that I could not come up with that. Two very simple words. Lane departure crashes is a big factor in the rural areas, like on Vashon. Intersection crashes are another sort of subset of crashes that we'll be focusing on. Those are more typical in urban areas of unincorporated King County. We look at young drivers have a different traffic collision pattern as do older drivers. And then we have a particular focus on people who are using active transportation, people who are walking, biking, in unincorporated areas, particularly again, in those rural areas of the county where it's just beautiful to drive through. We see a lot of motorcycle accidents as well. So that's been another focus of ours as we start looking at through our collision data. And then the last thing that I will end on, the county is also trying to move towards a more holistic approach to traffic safety, and we're trying to carry that through to this study that we're working on as well. So because we know that the answer isn't just to have the sheriff's office out there doing traffic enforcement. It's critical, but it's not the only thing that's going to influence the outcomes of the road network. We're also looking at things like having land use be safer, channeling a lot of the growth into those urban areas where people don't need to travel as much to get to the things they need to get to, keeping the rural areas rural. Having safer vehicles. There's a lot of new technology that hasn't quite made it out into the fleet at large. Making sure that people have access to post-crash care. I know that's been a big concern of the folks on the island as well. Making sure that people are trained better. We have safer road users so that people are out there driving sober. And then making sure that the roads themselves are maintained and operated as safe as we can make them. So I will drop, since I can't share my screen, I will drop two things into the chat and share them through an email after the meeting as well. Just to, again, to share that link where we're asking for folks' feedback on what's working for them on the road network in terms of traffic safety and where things could be improved. And then I want to emphasize, I'm going to drop a phone number in here. Although I want to hear from folks through that online survey, if you ever have problems, especially emergent problems, if there's a down stop sign or a signal that's out, trees over the roadway, we have a special 24/7 helpline that you can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and get a live person to tell them about your concerns. And that way we can dispatch someone right away to go deal with those issues. And I'll drop that contact information. I really don't want to hear about those kinds of things as I'm going through my survey responses. We want to hear about those right away. So that's all I had to add. Thank you for having me here. I'm happy to take questions as well.
Thank you so much, John. Bong, did you want to say anything?
I'm actually Terry, the director of the Department of Local Service.
No, I think John did a good job summarizing it. Your guys' feedback is very important to us, whether it's specifically about our road network or about enforcement issues that the sheriff's office can take up. So just appreciate the opportunity to be here and continue to get the feedback so that we can make sure that the things we do are responsive to your guys' needs.
Okay, thank you so much for coming tonight. I'll entertain questions from the audience. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the Judge Phelps, and my biggest concern about any of our roads around here is the lack of road maintenance. I haven't seen proper chip sealing of our roads in almost 50 years now. I'd like to ask you if you know what our road crew's annual budget is around Vashon.
Yeah, so John did a good summary of what our road network is. So 1,500 miles of roads, which is equivalent to just illustrated. It's the length of I-5 from the Canadian border all the way down to Mexico. So that's the road network for unincorporated King County. And we have 93 bridges on top of that. And our budget for roads right now is as low as it's ever been. And so what it used to be years ago was, I want to say, and around an average of about $20 million a year is what we used to have in terms of a capital fund to allow us to maintain that road network. And even then, that was inadequate. Our best guess, based off of our analysis, is that from a total road budget, we have about a $200 million gap in what our need is from what we have today. What we have today for a capital fund within our road services division is about $3 million a year to manage the totality of our network. And just to say that is not enough, and that $3 million a year turns into $0 a year by 2028 without additional revenue sources coming. So we've been talking with King County Council, we've been talking to the King County Executive's Office about what other alternatives we have available to us for revenue sources to be able to maintain the roads. But I just say all that from the standpoint of we know that our road network needs a lot of work. And the situation that we are in right now is we just don't have the resources to do all of the things. And so where we do focus our very limited funds is on the most critical things that we need to do. Where we really have like life safety things, where we have grants that we're able to take the little bit of money we have and match it to like a state or federal or local grant to do other types of projects as well. In saying all of that doom and gloom stuff, I am hopeful that in the coming year, we will get some additional revenue coming in. So I would say, you know, I'm optimistic that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But right now, our current situation is one where we have to figure out how to do more with significantly less.
Okay, it was several years ago now, I asked our road crews how many miles of paved road we have here on Vashon Island. I recall the number was something like about 150 miles this year on the island. And so anyway, you said what, 1,500 miles? So we're about 1/10 of King County's rural roads.
Assuming your numbers right, I don't know.
Okay.
I can't quote it. Maybe John knows, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, well, I asked you, you know, what do our road crews, what's their annual budget here on the Vashon Island road crews?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Okay, because I called them this morning and the dispatch lady told me, she says, I don't know, that's above my pay grade. She doesn't know what they're.
We can take that down and we can get it to you. What I can also tell you is that how I look at it isn't as granular as you know, this is Vashon's budget versus this is, you know, White Center's budget. We look at the totality of what our network needs and we flex to where the greatest needs are.
Okay.
Thank you. I'd like to take some questions for you.
Okay.
I have a comment, there's another element, and that is the skill that the people who are doing the repairs have in repairing the roads. Because it's not always done correctly, in my opinion. So, I just spent 4 months in Michigan. And I compared the two. So, it's a skill in the application when you're, for example, filling in potholes.
Thank you. Alex?
Yeah, thanks, John, and thanks from King County. So I'm the former editor of the Beachcomber, and one thing that we heard from people pretty regularly at my time at the paper was concerns about DUIs, and specifically, I think there is this perception, I don't know if it's accurate or not, that Vashon has a higher rate of DUIs than the rest of the county or than most places. I'm wondering if you have any insight into that based on the data or just observations. I mean, it's very rural, there's not a lot of streetlights out here. It's a quieter community where there's maybe, it's just more people go out, maybe drinking, and then there's not as much public transportation at night to get home. Just either from the sheriff's perspective, is there more of a DUI culture or problem out here, and is it getting better or worse? Just curious for some insight on that.
I don't know that we've ever compared DUIs in White Center versus DUIs in Skyway versus DUIs on Vashon Island. I think our deputies take them as they get them. And, obviously, we're gonna see a rise in probably DUI arrests at our precinct overall, because we have a dedicated traffic car that works in the afternoon and into the evening and into bar closing time and whatnot, so we'll probably see a rise in those numbers overall is what my guess is gonna be. But I don't think there's a correlation to say that Vashon Island has high anything, you know, when you think Vashon Island, when you're talking about from a sheriff's deputy's perspective, somebody who's worked on the mainland for most of his career, is that Vashon Island is the place where it's usually quieter. And you know, the place where you can go and get some paperwork done and take a break from everything that's going on the mainland. And so I don't think that perception's out there, and I'm not sure that thought isn't anywhere, at least on coming out of our operational area, so I would say no, but I haven't honestly looked at and compared Skyway versus White Center versus our partners over at Myriad or SeaTac either, so here, thank you, yes, sir.
Are there any questions on Zoom? Raise your hand if you have a question.
I will add that,
John?
besides, I will add that I'm not familiar with any differences in DUI distribution across the different areas of unincorporated King County either. I don't think that's something that we have looked at. We're looking at sort of the larger picture drivers to collisions in the county. I also did want to clarify, when we talk about driving impaired, it's not just drinking. We see more substance abuse, either including driving under the influence of prescription medications that alter your ability to drive, but and are seeing an increasing statewide of multi-substance impairment with driving. So people who are under the influence of both alcohol and illegal substances. But I'm not familiar with anything in particular for Vashon Island.
And I can second that too, from the sheriff's office perspective, we're seeing a sharp incline in other substances other than alcohol.
Further questions? Mr. Schnapp?
Yeah, I was doing some research this morning, and like I said, I tried to find out what our road crews, what their budget is. The dispatch or the receptionist told me that they have 7 people on the crews now. I think it's gone down some for losing our personnel. And I also was looking into how much money gets spent on the water tax. And it looks to be like we're spending just millions of dollars a year subsidizing the water taxi. And when it comes to road maintenance, it's almost non-existent. So I don't believe it when the county says that we don't have money for road maintenance. It's an allocation issue. There's just money's going into public transit in just staggering amounts, and road maintenance, as I remember it, came to an end about 45 years ago. And that was when public transit started getting really big.
Yeah, I appreciate the feedback and the hard lens to look at it through this big. King County as a whole has so much money. How could you not have money to maintain the road network? And the ferry, the water taxis is a good example. Even though the King County as a whole has a lot of money, there's different pots of money that have very stringent requirements for how those funds are used. And so, like when you talk about the water taxis, there's a ferry district that provides a special tax just to go towards the water taxis. In addition to that, there's the revenue that is generated from that. The thing about the road funding, which is a roads levy, the population that pays for the roads levy is purely unincorporated King County. And because there's been that 1% tax growth on it, the need versus the revenue growth that we've been allowed to have is disproportionate. So I want to say since 2017, when we went through a lot of annexations in the county, we've seen and somewhere in the neighborhood about an annual $30 million gap from what we should have in our roads fund versus what we do have. And so it's not as simple as just looking at all of the money that King County has. There's many different funds within the county, and each of those funds has restrictions to what you are allowed to do and how you're allowed to spend those dollars. We can absolutely get more information on like what that is and why, and bring that back at a later date to share that with you all.
Leon, if some islanders were inspired to take it upon themselves to fill some potholes, say, on the public roads, would that be allowable?
No, but it's a complex thing. I'm not the roads expert engineer. Maybe John can answer, but like the last thing we want to do is have the folks out there trying to do things on their own that potentially damages the infrastructure and gets it into a worse condition, or doing something that's not the standard in the road that then causes an accident or something. So this is something that I would say I'm just gonna ask that you not do that. But if there is, like a big pothole that's dangerous, like, or even not dangerous, let us know. We'll get people out there to assess that. And if there's something we can take action on, we will.
And would that be reported in the number that John provided?
Yes.
So John, that can be used for potholes?
Absolutely.
And John, anything that is incorrect.
I will, but no, 100%. You're doing great. Any concern with the road network? If you have concerns about safety, if you have concerns about maintenance, that 24/7 road helpline is the number to call. And the folks who answer that line are very skilled in getting the questions or concerns to the right folks at roads, or in some cases, if it's not a roads issue, they're pretty good at finding the right agency that can help with the issue.
Will you tell us the number, please? We're not seeing chat in the room.
I sure will. It is 206-477-8100. There's an 800. I'll give you that again. It's 206-477-8100, or there's a 1-800 version as well. 1-800-527-6237. And I'll email that to your to the secretary as well, if that's helpful.
Great. Thank you very much. Are there further questions? Yes, Bill?
Yeah, Bill Muller. Well, I would just like to make a positive statement instead of all the complaints. Some time ago, I woke up on a Sunday morning after a very windy night and noticed that the yield sign on a post on my corner had blown over. And I called probably this number, some number, to report that the yield sign had blown down. And within 2 hours on a Sunday morning, it had been replaced. Great, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Laura?
And another benefit is that vehicles are damaged when they hit potholes, So that's another plus for repairing the roads if vehicles are not damaged.
Mr. Schnapp?
Okay, before I finish here, I just want to point out that 204th Street, when you go up the hill from the Jesus Barn, that's 111th Avenue, Old Mill Road. That's a dangerous hill there, and we've got pavement crumbling off the edge of the road, and a sharp drop off right at the knee of the hill. The hill going up where Sears Road intersects is, holes in it, not necessarily potholes, but just holes. And then the road's just a scar tissue of patchwork. So it's not necessarily potholes, but it just rattles the hell out of the car when you drive on it. And, I've been trying for years here in King County to fix that road and do it right. And nothing. And I've called this hotline number you have several times in the last year or two. And they've given you know, work orders on that, and order numbers and what have you. And I'm not seeing any action there. They're just neglecting it. Okay? Here.
John, are there different budgets for road repair, like for fixing potholes and whatnot, and just replacing the road?
There are different budgets for those two things, and some of that gets back to what Director Leon was discussing earlier. So we typically, because of the funding crisis, we do as much as we can, often through pothole patching and temporary repairs. And like a lot of the assets, a lot of the infrastructure that we maintain, you can string it along for a long time. We can patch our existing roads, we can add supports to our existing bridges, but at a certain point, there's not much more that you can do from a maintenance perspective, and you need to replace the bridge or you need to replace the road. And once you reach that point, then it's a big capital investment. It's a big money issue. And so we want, as much as we can, to do as much maintenance and preservation of the roads and the bridges as we can, so that we don't have to replace them, or that we can put off their eventual replacement. But at a certain point, a patch doesn't hold the road together anymore, and it needs to be replaced. And that's where we start running into our funding crisis, where we don't have the funds to do those more major projects, like fully replacing a road when it reaches a point where we can't put a patch on it anymore to temporarily solve the problem. I'm not sure if that answers your question. I hope it does.
Yes, it does. If Vashon was to raise money and contribute it to the road department, could that be dedicated for use on repairing Vashon roads?
If that, the funding question, I might have to defer to Leon on that one. I'm not familiar with this situation. For the funds that we have, our priority is always to direct them towards the critical safety needs first, even before we do the maintenance of our existing facilities. Our highest priority is always going to be safety. And so when we get funds in, that's where we direct our funds.
My recommendation would be for the residents of Vashon, to bring those concerns to their Councilmember Mosqueda. The council controls a lot of the purse strings and has the discretion to choose when and where and how they allocate resources. And so for the question of, I think the broader question is, how can we get more money to the road services division to be able to do more of these types of things? And I think that question is best posed to council, because that's where a lot of the budgetary decisions sit. We can advocate, we can like submit ideas and proposals, but council's the entity that adopts the budget, and then we work with what we get on the other end of that.
Thank you. Is it conceivable we could have a capital campaign and raise money that could then be applied eventually?
There are discussions out there about ways to generate more revenue for the road services division to be able to do more of this type of work. Those things are currently under consideration with the King County Council. And so I think, your all's engagement there would be well timed to inform the decision making that our elected leaders are gonna be faced with in the coming months.
Thank you. Well, did you have a question?
One last question.
Yes, one last question, Mr. Shaw.
Do we have any chip sealing operations going?
We do,
I'm sorry, what was the question?
do we have any chip sealing operations going on in the county? I believe we had some chip sealing that occurred this year across unincorporated King County. Right now, I think the likelihood of that happening in the future is significantly slimmer. Just going back to the whole budgetary situation that we're in, so. Like, we only have, like, next year, our budget for capital, 1,500 miles of road, 93 bridges, $3 million. And when you look at a capital project, those things are rather expensive, $3 million doesn't get you that far. And so, like, we are very much in a situation where we need to figure out our budget, our greater budget issue.
Thank you. Are there further questions?
Sorry, I will tack on to that as
Yes.
well. The King County Roads Division does have a website where you can see all of the places that we are going to do chip seal or other forms of pavement preservation. I'm happy to drop that in the link as well. There are, as Director Leon said, there's not very many of them, and they tend to be very short segments where we're really just trying to be as strategic with the very, very small amount of pavement funding. And I will drop that link if you'd like to see where the county had 2025 resurfacing locations.
That'd be great, thank you. Sergeant Schrimpsher?
I just want to finish off with, if you have parking complaints or traffic related complaints, report to sheriff.org is the best way to let us know, and that way I can assign it out to our traffic folks and also include our deputies that work the island so that they can address the problems.
Thank you. I have a question, Sergeant Schrimpsher. It's great that there's increased enforcement of DUI, it sounds like, but I wonder, does the sheriff's department have any latitude to pair that with any kind of advertising or public relation campaign saying, trying to persuade people not to have DUIs, or to say, we've got increased enforcement, really need to get a ride, rather than driving drunk or something like that?
So you're talking about the Target Zero type advertisements, click your ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah, those kind of things. We do that. Unincorporated has $10,000 for all of unincorporated through our Target Zero, which isn't a lot of money when you take it to all unincorporated King County. The fact that our major has made traffic a priority and our sheriff has made traffic a priority for the King County Sheriff's Department. We've devoted now 2 deputies to do that. You're gonna see a greater response from 2 folks out here 1 day a week than you would the short 4-hour stint that you're gonna get a deputy to come out and do a click it or ticket or a DUI enforcement.
No, I was wondering though about the other side of that being like more like public relations.
Like the PSA.
Yeah, something like that.
We can absolutely tag on with them and say, hey, we're doing traffic enforcement, so we are.
Sure, we can share it with our PIO, and they do routine. I know there was a posting about our traffic deputies work that went out today, that they routinely post on our social media websites, so. The Target Zero thing, that's a great program, but much like local services and dealing with roads and their small budgets, they don't have a lot of budget there either, so they do a lot of audio and visual campaigns for the drive sober, get pulled over, the click it or ticket, and they do put forward funding, but again, that's shared amongst all of the unincorporated areas in King County. Our piece of that is we actually carved out 2 patrol deputies to become traffic deputies, so that's their sole job. So and we have been sharing that information with our PIO. Anytime there's good stops and good information that can be shared as a result of the good work that they're out there doing every day.
Thank you.
Yes.
He was out here last week and did a really good thing out here too, so on the island. He's, yeah, they're moving to Shade County, you'll see him, I promise.
Our department also has a webpage, a website, to an email, it's called asklocalservices@kingcounty.gov. And we can help facilitate any connection throughout the entire King County. You're having problems navigating the King County website. I myself is having problems navigating that site, but hey, send us an email, it's staffed 24/7, maybe not 24/7 like our buddies at Rose, but we will respond to any and all questions regarding King County.
I understand you also keep office hours
I
on
do.
Tuesdays, is that right?
I'm here Tuesdays from 9 to around 1. I have to jump and go to South Park. Right after that, maintain another office down there. But if you email me and you want to see me, just let me know. I notarize documents too, by the way, free. So if you have a document that you want notarized, bring it over.
And that's at the Chamber of Commerce building?
Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes.
And one more plug.
Yes.
My, King County Sheriff's Office is doing a gun buyback on October 4th at the, Skyway, fire station. So, if you're aware of a firearm that you'd like to get rid of, somebody else would like to get rid of, we have, gift cards for the return, the turn in of those firearms. So October 4th.
Great, thanks. Thank you.
And that's anybody King County wide, so.
Are there further questions? Seeing none, I'll just thank you all for being here tonight. I really appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work. Thanks very much. Thank you too, John.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Well, it's clear to me we do not have a forum. What is the council's pleasure to do with the remainder of our time? We can just adjourn, or we can have just a free-ranging discussion, or whatever. It's your time. I'm open to suggestion. Would you like to discuss what we just heard? Jen, are you going to say something?
I guess I had an observation about the goal 0, that it would be nice to discuss and maybe brainstorm a little bit where, if we might be able to support some campaigning with the goal 0 goals, I guess, with the target 0.
Target 0.
Like, is there any way that we as a community can help through our social media networks boost the messages? I'd like to discuss that.
Dan?
Yeah, it's King County can't post on our Vashon Facebook views. So it is important that when King County has a message they want to get through to Vashon, that we individuals who are members of Vashonites, Vashon, etc., take that post and put it out there, because otherwise the only way they can do it, of course, is post it on their own Facebook page. Well, nobody goes there. So in order for it to be seen by people on this island, at least a lot of people still use Facebook on this island to share information, get information. That's an easy way for us to make that. Doesn't cost us a thing, doesn't take much time. But we need to get that information from King County, then get it out there on those community Facebook groups.
Thank you. Yes, Jen?
One of the messages that they would like to get out to the public is the importance of walking facing traffic. So the bicyclists travel the same direction as the cars, and the pedestrians go the other way. And I've been trying to watch to see how many people walk the other way, and I feel like shaking some pom-poms at the people that I pass who are facing me. It's maybe half. On Vashon Highway, I've been trying to pay attention as I go into town. So that's something that, like, culturally we could kind of talk about as a community, or maybe saying something in the beachcomber. You know, it's better for you to be able to look at the cars so that you can, take evasive action if they're not paying attention, versus somebody coming up from behind you.
We could have like our own public service campaign,
We
something
could,
like that.
they have materials, we would just need to repost them.
Another thing is before we stop. I don't want to see a traffic light with the three where you have to wait, pollution and all that. And inefficiency, but the four-way stop rules, I'm not positive about what they are. And then there's a lot of people that might run through and just not know who takes what turn when, I've read about it, so I kind of know what the rules are, but I don't think a lot of people know what the rules are.
And
They might know what the rules are, that whoever comes to the four-way stop first gets to go first, but when you have all these pedestrians crossing, it gets very complicated and very mixed up because cars realize that the car that should go next can't go next, and it gives them an opportunity to go first. Once that happens, the cars don't know who goes next anymore.
I think that's a big part of it, is the pedestrian traffic.
If it weren't for the pedestrian traffic, it wouldn't be a problem at the four-way stop. It's the pedestrian traffic that causes the problem.
If it weren't for the cars, the pedestrians wouldn't have. Blame the pedestrians.
And when two people stop at the exact same time.
The driver on the right.
The driver.
Around the right,
Yeah,
and what about left turners as opposed to going straight through when you're face on?
If it's the very same time, the straight person goes through,
Okay,
has priority over turners.
okay,
Those are all questions on your driver's exam.
yeah, which I haven't taken a long time.
Gary, we don't have a quorum, so we're not going to be able to take a vote on your appointment tonight. Would you like to say something though, introduce yourself at least to the people who are here?
Sure, glad to. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, good. It's always wonderful when magic works. My name is Gary English. I worked for 27 years for the City of Seattle Fire Department. I was primarily assigned to work with major transportation projects. So all of Sound Transit and the SR-99 tunnel and all those big stuff in the big city all came across my desk. And I've been retired happily and living on Vashon for about 22 years now. I will note I was glad to see about 15 years ago they did a big chip seal program on the island, and they did a lot of road work, but as everything else, it kind of wears down. So I volunteered to be on the Vashon Ferry Advisory Committee. Glad to do so. Have spent quite a bit of time with the ferry projects. I'm currently on, and we're just about to end. Let me read this. It's the SR-160 Fauntleroy Terminal Trestle and Transfer Span Replacement. So that's the new dock terminal at Fauntleroy, and I've been on that committee for about 5 years now, and they're just about winding up. They have some final recommendations that have come from the group to the state. The state is doing some final work on it. We don't have a final approved recommendation yet. We expect to do so soon. They'll be working on that intersection here probably starting next year. New traffic lights and a few other changes. And the actual terminal replacement won't be done until 2027 is my understanding, which is all subject to change, as we know, working with the county. So if you have questions or interest or ideas regarding the ferry service, let me know. I'm a longtime rider of the passenger only boat. I still call it that because it's my way of saying, hey, I still care about this thing. And we still have some pretty major challenges with the ferry system. They are moving towards new boats, and as they do move towards new boats, that'll relieve some of the pressure. There's some cantankerous issues that they have to deal with, and I'll be looking into that. And if anybody has any questions right now or have something that you want me to look into, let me know, and I'll come back next month.
thank you so much. Are there any questions? Yes, Diane?
When the Fauntleroy Ferry Terminal construction begins, will we still be able to take our cars across to Fauntleroy? Or will there be a time you can't even go there?
I will not guarantee there will not be a time that you won't be able to go there, but I will say their plan is to not have that happen. the current plan for the sequencing is, and if you don't know this, the white building immediately north of the Fauntleroy side has been purchased by the state. That allows them to do a widening of the terminal, and their plan is to phase it. So I think what we're going to find is that there'll be a demolition of part of the existing terminal. That'll be then replaced with a new terminal, but which will be higher than the existing one because they're looking forward to the wonderful joy of having the seawater level rise. And once they get that done, and that'll give us, I believe it's 3 lanes, then they're going to do the demolition of the south side and replace that one with another extension. So it'll all be one nice wide terminal. I think it adds 1 lane. They've opted to go with option B. There was an A 1, 2, 3, B 1, 2, and a C 3, I think. So the terminal will be wider and longer, and the lanes will be wider. There will be adding a bus lane per se, and a bicycle lane, which will be a narrow, but allow bicyclists to move through the terminal. So it's been a pretty arduous, long process. I've been involved with it for about 5 years. What else can I help you with? I think it's going to be running. It'll be a huge challenge to use it, but it will be operational during the time. I think we're going to see longer backups on Fauntleroy during that period.
Okay, thank you, Gary.
Other questions? All right, well, thanks a lot, Gary. We'll see you again next month.
Okay, send me the note. Thank
Your
you.
friends come to the council meeting, okay?
You bet.
Okay, thank you. Is there further discussion tonight? Well, let me just ask that you all also tell your friends to come to the council meeting next month so we can get a quorum and continue with our business, including the total business of appointing some of the area advisory committee. And in the meantime, your board will be considering budget bill attendance also. Any announcements before we close for the evening? Okay, thank you all so much for coming tonight. See you next time, I hope.